I wanted to make this video regarding the fuchsia plant and growing them in Southern California, specifically the drier zones. I'm in what is known as either Zone 9B, or sometimes, depending upon exactly where you are, they're in, or maybe called 10A. We're in Southern California, where you can drive 5 miles one direction and change zones. And I don't think there's a huge difference in it other than the number of freeze nights that you get. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I've been researching something that happened with this one. So there's obviously 2 plants in here. And this one, I think it's this one. Yeah, this plant seeded a couple of years ago, and I don't know if a bird picked up the seed or if the winds picked up the seed, but it seeded over there in that succulent pot in the full sun. So I noticed about 2 years ago, a little seedling, this strawberry pot got taken over by succulents, so I just left it. But a fuchsia seedling popped up back here on the back side of it, which, if you're gonna, that's north. So it seeded on the correct side of the pot, and I thought, well, this is a disaster waiting to happen, a fuchsia growing in full sun in our region. And I assumed that by end of summer, at least the part of the plant that made it up above the top of the pot or the succulents would be dead. But much to my surprise, the first season, and it was, at least I think it was the first season it grew, it had little blooms on it. Well, you can see that the plant turned hardy and has a very wood-like branch structure, and the leaves are much denser and thicker than the ones that are facing east. And the blooms also are more compact. But it's a very hardy plant, and it's continued to grow. One branch came up inside of the pot and is now growing up amongst the succulents. I think they actually kind of work with each other to provide shade for each other and create this little microclimate. I've never really seen anything like it. And I looked it up, and AI on the internet will tell you if you see a fuchsia sprout in full sun, you better move it, or you're gonna have to tend to it carefully. Well, I don't do anything different. The succulents, actually, they consider succulents drought-tolerant plants, but in truth, if they're growing in sun like this, they like water. The succulents will lose all of their leaves if you forget to water them, and they'll lose their leaves quick. You'll come out, and the desert roses will have no leaves on them. I think some of these started to lose some leaves here. So they actually like water, regardless of what anybody tells you. But anyhow, I just made this video because this fuchsia is an anomaly. But I want to go back to the other main plants and discuss something about the main plants. Okay, back at the main or mother plants, or whatever we want to call them. Obviously, this fuchsia, the one that seeded and grew over there, is a hanging fuchsia. And I mentioned that to one of the people that works at the garden center when I bought this one. I think I might have kept the tag. Okay, this is an Arroyo Grande. Oh, AG. I used to live up on the Central Coast. Anyhow, some of the tags on some of the fuchsias say upright. And when I mentioned that to the person at the garden center, he said, "Oh no, all fuchsias like to hang and live in they live in hanging pots, and they all hang." And so I went back a couple months later and told him, that fuchsia, it does not hang. I could do anything I wanted to this plant, and it is going to grow upright. It's made up its mind. It is an upright fuchsia. This one has always had a hanging tendency. I've cut it off during winter up here in order to get new growth, and it always ends up hanging down. Now, of course, being in desert region, of course, even in the shade, it gets real hardy, thick wood growth. But you can cut the things back in our zone and not do anything. We don't have to protect them or anything. And they just come back in spring. And if you forget to water them, blooming is done. And if we start getting 100-degree days and you don't water them, and when I say water, I mean water the whole plant, simulate rain. If you don't do that, they're done. You might be able, if we get a cooling trend, we might be able to get them to start blooming again if we start babying them, but they do not like the heat. Well, except that one over there. I think it'll keep blooming through the summer. It's truly an anomaly. I probably should take a cutting off of it. But I just wanted to share that you can grow fuchsia that stay around for many years. This one is probably 5 years old. And this one, the partner to this one died a couple of years ago. I think when I went on vacation, it didn't get watered enough and it died back. And I put this one in about 2 years ago. And they'll last for many, many years in this zone. You just have to replicate a moist environment, as is the same case like down here. The poinsettias, they're the same way. You have to replicate an environment that they like. Like this year, I don't know what happened. The poinsettias have never fully lost their red leaves this year, and I don't know why that is. This one, I did an experiment. Normally, I don't do anything to them, and on this year, I cut the poinsettias back all the way, and I thought I killed it. And then after about 3 weeks, I started getting tiny little new growth, and now it's back. But they kind of do well in the same environment that a fuchsia does, and they're tolerant of our zone about the same. Occasional close to freezing, but never really deep chill. I suppose if we get that once in a 10-year freeze, I might lose my poinsettias, but I have some that are 3 or 4 years old or 5 years old. And there's actually a cyclamen down there that's still blooming. It's June 5th right now or something like that, and the cyclamen is still blooming. It likes it back there in the shade, protected. But anyway, there you go. I digress. Back to the fuchsia. East facing, shade cloth on the walkway cover, and the only sun they get is early in the day or late afternoon when the sun peeks through that opening right there for probably half an hour or so. They'll wilt, and after the sun goes by, they'll recover. All right, well, that's it. I don't know what my point was, other than to say this fuchsia has hybrid itself as a full sun loving plant.